per hour. We'll fall to 2 degrees early tonight, then slowly warming by sunrise. Warmer tomorrow.
Good morning. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to have you along.
For the Kettleland Storm Center, I'm Scott.
Okay, away we go.
Where you learn to listen and listen to learn. Kello News Talk 1320, 107.9. The Doctor of Discernment is on the air.
I love the Greg Belfrage Show.
I've been listening to you for years, Greg. Thanks for all you do and keeping us informed.
You sound a little taller on radio.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense, no prescription required.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time.
I don't believe in a no-win scenario.
Good morning, my friends. The marketplace of ideas is open. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show this Thursday, February 13th. The big story this morning is you had a federal judge ruling that Donald Trump's federal employee buyout program can continue. And in the ruling, the judge said labor unions, yes, they don't have standing to challenge it. And, oh, man, the gnashing of teeth that has gone on over this story. So a federal judge now ruling that Donald Trump's federal employee buyout program can move forward. The administration trying hard to downsize the federal government through what they're calling the deferred resignation program. And you and I have talked about that before. And the judge said the labor unions behind the lawsuit are not directly impacted by the program. Therefore, they don't have standing to challenge it. And he said their arguments were not sufficient, were his words. So there's a lot, and there's a lot of reaction to this. As you can imagine, you're seeing a lot of gnashing of teeth that's ongoing with all of these actions that Donald Trump is taking. So that is a big story this morning. Also, we had the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi yesterday saying that she is targeting the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, State Attorney General Letitia James. Does that name sound familiar? Also, the chief of New York's DMV, Mark Schroeder, in a new lawsuit against New York State. And Attorney General Bondi said yesterday, this is a new DOJ. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today. And she said, as you know, we sued Illinois. New York didn't listen, so now you're next, she said. Wow. This is pretty crazy, I think. In fact, you and I have got to talk about this. We'll do this later in the program this morning. You got states here that are giving licenses to illegal aliens. Should they be granting licenses to illegal aliens? They have been doing that in New York State, a number of other states that have done the same thing. So she made the argument that state and local officials are an obstacle to the federal government's enforcement of the immigration laws and discriminate against federal immigration enforcement. This is coming from the Justice Department. So on her first day in office, Bondi placed a 60-day freeze on all DOJ funding to sanctuary jurisdictions, which affected then California, New York. So this is absolutely incredible what we are seeing here. And Democrats are reeling, I think, trying to react and respond to all of this. Mostly it's just a gnashing of teeth, but they, as I was mentioning with Donald Trump and the federal employee buyout, the buyout of federal employees, the judge saying, the groups that were challenging that don't even have a standing, the judge said. And so just a lot of frustration, I think, among the left, and you see that. So Pam Bondi saying that this stops. So the lawsuit was filed in the Northern District of New York, obtained by the New York Post, targeted New York's green light law, which grants driver's licenses to illegal immigrants. And she said, the United States is currently facing a crisis of illegal immigration, and the federal government is set to put a stop to it. And this was the complaint that DOJ had filed. They said, while states are welcome partners in that effort, it is the prerogative as separate sovereigns to refrain, but a state's freedom to stand aside is not a freedom to stand in the way. And where inaction crosses into obstruction, a state breaks the law. The state of New York is doing just that, and it must be stopped. Wow, this is absolutely wild. So they're pursuing those states. And again, we'll talk about that after 8:30 this morning. I'm really curious to get your reaction as you see the wheels turning forward on this. You can, of course, drop me an email anytime. You got a little time this morning. Drop me an email, greg.belfrage@kelo.com. It's my email address. That comes right to me. Also, you likely have seen these, the White House this week, and this was yesterday, the White House saying it's judges and not Donald Trump who are truly causing a constitutional crisis. This is Carolyn Leavitt, who's the White House press secretary. And yesterday, she said it's not Donald Trump who's causing the problem. It's not the president. It's these judges that are blocking his agenda. She said, we believe these judges are acting as judicial activists rather than honest arbiters of the law. And she said the real constitutional crisis is taking place within our judicial branch. So, this is pretty powerful. Senator Mike Lee has been working on legislation to limit the ability of lower-ranking judges to issue nationwide blocks on presidential actions. And then Elon Musk has been out there calling for a wave of judicial impeachments. What Elon Musk is saying. He said on X, there needs to be an immediate wave of judicial impeachments, not just one. Now, keep in mind, Donald Trump, in the middle of all of this, Trump has said that he would abide with court rulings, that he would, but I think that as we look at what's going on, these problems are coming to light. And one of the problems that has come to light are the actions that these judges are taking. I don't think it's much of a surprise that you have Elon Musk saying, this evil judge must be fired. He said, this is the judge then who ordered the Trump administration to restore some of the information that had been removed from government websites. Again, the chief executive of the United States, these departments are all under his purview of the president absolutely within his authority. And you have these judges then who are nowhere near the power of Donald Trump and the ability to take action, who are acting on these things. So I don't think it's much of a surprise that Elon Musk is saying there needs to be an immediate wave of judicial impeachments. It's pretty crazy. While we're talking about Elon Musk, did you see? He announced this on Tuesday, and And I caught a little bit of this yesterday. And this is like almost mind-blowing. And this is your federal government. Elon Musk said that Doge was looking into a limestone mine in Pennsylvania where federal employee retirements are being processed. And Musk said, and then we're told this is actually, I think, a great anecdote, because we're told the most number of people that could retire possibly in a month is 10,000. We're like, well, what? Why is that? Well, because all the retirement paperwork is manual on paper. It's manually calculated and written down on a piece of paper. Then it goes to the mine, and like, what do you mean a mine? It's an actual mine. So and there are photos of this. In fact, this has been known since Washington Post did some reporting on it over the years. It's a limestone mine in Pennsylvania, about 60 miles north of Pittsburgh, where workers operate underground, about 200 feet underground, to process these federal retirement applications. Tell me that doesn't sound like something out of a comic book, out of Bizarro World. I mean, this is just crazy. Washington Post described it in 2014. So 2014, we've known about this, right? 2014, 10 years ago, in other words, it still hasn't changed. Just absolutely incredible. That is your federal government and what's going on. It is just jaw-dropping the more we learn. And it's no wonder then that you've got Democrats running around, with their like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to react to all of this as this news is coming out. It's just like, wow. And they are just operating in fantasy land. I've never seen anything like it. Let's talk about some statewide issues, statewide news this morning. The House Bill 1025 going to the House Committee on Appropriations and Peer. The House State Affairs Committee gave no recommendation on the legislation itself yesterday. So HB 1025 would put over $760 million toward the building of a new men's prison in Lincoln County. $62 million are already appropriated for that. And this has been really contentious. Nick Rodriguez with the State Department of Corrections saying that the new facility would replace the state penitentiary in Sioux Falls. And he talked about the safety of the staff. He said, we're entrusted with the safety not only of staff, but of offenders, he said. The infrastructure, the site that we have at the moment does not make that feasible. And he said to sit here and talk about reworking facilities and structures that are outdated, have no compatible use for the way corrections has to evolve and the way we have to evolve as staff to make this work is absurd, he said. A lot of pushback. You've got the president of the NOPE group that has been pushing back against this. They're opposed to the location. They're opposed to the price tag. I'll just tell you, having watched government for years, the longer you wait, the more it's going to cost. The longer you delay, the more it's going to cost. There's just no debating that. It's just going to. Every delay is just going to cost the state more. So as to whether or not this is the right place to build it, I'll let you decide. So the House State Affairs Committee then voted 12-1 to send this to the House Appropriations Committee with no specific recommendations as to whether to pass it, not pass it, so on. We'll see where it goes. And the Secretary of Corrections, Kelly Wasco, defended the project. She was joined in support of the projects by several statewide law enforcement agencies. In fact, they sent out a news release yesterday, and I wanted to. This caught my eye yesterday. You had the South Dakota Chiefs Association president, Jason Foote, said, as law enforcement leaders dedicated to protecting our communities, we recognize the essential role that a well-functioning prison system plays in maintaining public safety. The funding is a necessary step toward ensuring a secure, rehabilitative, and well-managed environment. You had also the South Dakota State Attorneys Association saying that a new facility is needed to ensure that, a safer environment for staff as well as inmates. And this goes on. South Dakota Sheriff's Association also said county jails are increasingly forced to house individuals sentenced to the state, filling local beds that are already in short supply. So the need for a new state prison is very, very clear, but there's a lot of resistance to that. Other big local stories this morning. This is from the folks over at Kettleland TV. Ongoing discussion over whether a $70,000 fence is needed in central Sioux Falls. This would be near the Bishop Dudley Hospitality House. Been a lot of ongoing problems there. Sioux Falls Police Chief John Toom said lots of easy access to that area. He's saying has turned it into a convenient gathering spot. Disorderly behavior is prevalent, in some cases even violent. And then he talked about the number of calls that police and emergency services see as a result of that. And we'll talk about this morning. The Sioux Falls City Council voting this week to send the Brockhouse Museum animals to Notre Dame. This was a unanimous vote of the Sioux Falls City Council. And seriously, this has been really kind of debated, in the city, I think pretty extensively. And what I would like to do this morning is get your memories of the Brockhouse animal collection, because some of it, whether you're an old timer in Sioux Falls like me, who remember these animals over at the old West Sioux hardware store, and then when they moved then to the Great Plains Zoo, remember taking my kids to go see those animals and engage with them at the Great Plains Zoo. They're just a lot of fond memories that many of us have. So let's take a trip down memory lane this morning. We'll do this coming up after 7 in talking about the Brockhouse Animal Collection as the city is now, saying goodbye. So we'll get your thoughts on it. I've just got a lot of tremendous memories regarding all of this. Other big stories this morning, back to the national page. The administrator of the EPA, Lee Zeldin, said yesterday that his team has located about $20 billion in tax dollars that the Biden administration purposely wasted. And he said an extremely disturbing video circulated 2 months ago featuring a Biden EPA political appointee talking about how they were tossing gold bars off the Titanic, rushing to get billions of your tax dollars out the door before Inauguration Day. The gold bars were tax dollars, and tossing them off the Titanic meant the Biden administration knew that they were wasting it. Hardly a surprise. I mean, given the level of just inane things that we're seeing. Also, coming up this week, you'll see Kash Patel's nomination to lead the FBI will be facing its first Senate hurdle today. The Senate Judiciary Committee will vote today on whether to advance Kash Patel's nomination for FBI director to the Senate floor. Also, the Senate will hold a final vote today to confirm Robert F. Kennedy Jr. We saw Tulsi Gabbard being confirmed yesterday. And the same thing is likely to happen. What Democrats have been able to do effectively is delay these things to a point. So they've been able to delay, but they have not been able to effectively stonewall those nominations. And that's a look at the big stories this morning. Man, it is cold, very cold, 15 below. No wind chill at the moment, but it's plenty cold. So do your best to stay warm this morning. All right, 627. You're listening to the Greg Belfrage Show on Kello.
Camp and Robbins, weekdays at 2. Kello, News Talk 1320, 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is sponsored by hope I didn't go too long. No, I think we're good.
Are you tired of chronic pain, fatigue, and sleepless nights caused by fibromyalgia? Discover relief with hyperbaric oxygen.
The battle I fight every day is the battle with the clock.
Fibromyalgia control your life. Visit MidwestHyperbarics.com.
Trying to share as much with you as I can, especially in this 6 a.m. hour. I mean, this really sets the stage then for what we do in the rest of the show throughout the morning.
It's time to taste pizzeria creations from.
And coming up, we'll run down trending stories. Number of them trending.
The 2025 Pizza Battle is on February 3rd through the 28th. And
okay, I think we're good to go here.
Plus, a portion of the proceeds support local charities. Brought to you by these fine eateries: Invictus, Tomaselli's, Dario's, Marco's, Bosses, and Valentino's. The 2025 Pizza Battle. Taste all the pizzeria creations and vote for your favorite at Kello.com.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our U.S.-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit ConsumerCellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Why choose the Sleep Number Smart Bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number Limited Edition Smart Bed. Plus free home delivery. Ends President's Day. Exclusively the Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
We're brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Cold weather advisory for today as wind chills will be in the minus 30s at times. We'll have sunshine, high temperature of 15, light south wind 5 to 15 miles per hour. We'll fall to 2 degrees early tonight, then slowly warm by sunrise. Partly sunny and warmer tomorrow.
Excuse me.
Temperature near 30 with a strong south wind. From the Kettleland, storm set.
And in Sioux Falls at 6:30, very cold, 15 below currently. Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com News Center. with details on what the state legislature is doing regarding COVID-19, trying to get money back in the hands of folks. Details coming up.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. In the end, about 75,000 federal employees agree to resign as a federal judge in Boston denies a request to block the Trump administration's buyout plan.
Judge George O'Toole ruled a group of labor unions does not have legal standing to challenge the program. The offer was sent to about 2 million federal employees, allowing them to resign now and be paid through September.
Fox's Jared Halpern, the buyout program is now closed. President Trump meets with India's Prime Minister at the White House this afternoon.
Prime Minister Modi arriving with the hopes of strengthening India's partnership with the United States and avoiding a trade war. India reportedly plans to cut tariffs in dozens of sectors, including electronics, medical equipment, and chemicals, which could boost American exports to India. The Prime Minister is also expected to propose increased energy and defense imports from the U.S.
Fox's Brooke Singman. America's listening to Fox News.
Kello News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. The state Senate passed a bill allowing enhanced permit holders to conceal carry on public university campuses. The measure requires permit holders to complete a background check and firearm training. Supporters of the bill say it protects Second Amendment rights, but opponents say it could increase gun violence. The bill now moves to the House. The COVID-19 pandemic cost the United States an estimated $100 billion in damages. That's according to Representative Brandy Schaefbauer, who has put forth a House resolution that would direct Attorney General Marty Jackley to file a lawsuit against China and related parties for the pandemic's impact. If the lawsuit is successful, it would create a South Dakota COVID-19 Victims Relief Fund, offering up to $250,000 per person.
I believe we owe it to South Dakotans to know the truth about COVID-19 pandemic, to know how and why it happened, and to hold accountable those responsible for so much suffering, death, and loss.
Schaefbauer pointed to a CIA report suggesting the virus originated from a Wuhan lab, blaming China for irresponsible and dangerous research. Skeptics say such a case is a long shot, and while supporters agree, they say it's still worth a try. Here's Representative Leslie Heineman.
This might seem a shot in the dark. I get that. But look at the big tobacco settlement. Remember Janko was a big pusher of that? Everybody thought that was a futile process. And now here, 25 years later, there's states that have recovered millions of dollars from what they thought was a senseless legal argument.
The House passed the measure 40-28. The resolution now moves to the Senate for a vote. And in college basketball, last night, the Coyotes women's team picked up a win over Kansas City, 63-56. The men's team play Kansas City tonight. And the Jackrabbits women's team beat North Dakota State 68-53. Lady Jacks remain undefeated in Summit League action, now at 12-0. The men's team face off against Omaha tonight. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320, 107.9.
Cold weather advisory for this morning, as we'll have wind chills in the minus 30s at times. Sunshine for today, a little warmer than what we had yesterday. High of 15, south winds 5 to 15 miles per hour. We'll fall to 2 degrees early tonight, then slowly warming by sunrise. Warmer tomorrow, partly sunny, high near 30, strong south winds. From the KELOLAND Storm Center, I'm Scott Barnes.
Where the most important viewpoint is yours. Kello News Talk 1320, 107.9.
Today, one of my favorite news stories from 2 years ago. If you had trouble believing a harmless weather balloon just drifted over America's most secretive areas, welcome to the club. But the truth always has a way of coming out. I'm Kim Commando for LinkedIn Jobs. Post a job for free and find qualified candidates quickly at linkedin.com/Kim. We were all lied to. That was no weather balloon. In this new age of governmental transparency, we now know what drifted over America from January 28th until February 8th was a 200-foot tall communist Chinese spy balloon, and it was packed with, wait for it, American technology, an Iridium satellite communication module, surveillance cameras and sensors of all kinds from at least 5 different American tech companies. But how did the Chinese get all this stuff? The same way they got NVIDIA chip to build their DeepSeek AI. We sold it to them. And yes, the government knew the truth all this time. Stay tech ahead with my free newsletter. You should sign up right now at getkim.com. As a small business owner, you don't have the luxury of clocking out early. Your business is on your mind 24/7. So when you're hiring, You need a partner that grinds just as hard as you do. That hiring partner is LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates that you can manage all in one place. Their new feature can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people. Either post your job for free or pay to promote. Promoted jobs get 3 times more qualified applicants. At the end of the day, the most important thing to your small business is the quality of candidates. And with LinkedIn, you can feel confident that you're getting the best. Find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring today. Find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Kim. That's linkedin.com/Kim to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Do it today. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Kim.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is sponsored by Tires, with 2 locations to make sure you have the proper traction this winter.
At Avera Orthopedics, we're transforming pain into possibility every day. Whether you're chasing a personal best or simply want to enjoy life to the fullest, our specialized care is designed to help you feel better and stronger. We're here for you. No referral needed. Trust Avera Orthopedics to unlock a world of endless possibilities. Visit avera.org/orthopedics and start your journey from pain to possibility today.
All right, you said bye-bye to big government and you want limited government. You voted for that. Well, now it's time to trim the fat from big wireless. If you are still using the big carriers, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, I ask, why are you doing that? Because my cell phone company, Pure Talk, a veteran-owned company, gives you the exact same service. They use the same cell towers. You get the same 5G network. You get better customer service, and they're based here in the U.S., and you pay half the price for the exact same thing. And that's right. There's simply no need to spend $85, $100 a month per person on your wireless bill. Not when you can get unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data with mobile hotspot for just $35 a month. And by the way, the average family of 4 saves about $1,000 a year with Pure Talk. Make the switch. You simply dial pound 250. You say the keyword save now. Do it now. You save an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 keyword save now from our friends at Pure Talk, America's wireless company.
More happens in South Dakota every day than we can fit on one radio station, even Kello. That's why there's Kello.com.
With local stories, podcasts, and other exclusive content.
For more of South Dakota, go to Kello.com. Kello.
.638, very cold this morning, 15 below currently at Kello. Thanks for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. Sioux Falls Stampede are in action coming up on Sunday. They'll be facing Fargo again. They just came off a 2-game series against Fargo this past weekend. Well, they'll be playing Fargo again coming up this Sunday. And we would love to send you. We've got a family 4-pack of tickets for you and your crew. If you would like to go to the Sioux Falls Stampede game, it's this Sunday. Puck hits the ice at 4:05. And if you would like to go, be caller number 7 right now, 605-336-1320. Call now, 605-336-1320. We'll take caller number 7, 605-336-1320. And you'll win tickets to see the Stampede and Fargo this Sunday, 4:05 at the Denny.
What's trending now?
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
Well, President Trump had a lengthy phone call with the president of Russia yesterday. And in fact, I should have mentioned this in the big stories because this is a huge story. It's also trending this morning. So Donald Trump holding a lengthy phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin, and then immediately after that, holding a phone call with the president of Ukraine, saying the talks to end the war in Ukraine will begin immediately, he said. And so there have been some ongoing conversations. as you know, because one of the big stories yesterday was the release of Mark Fogel, who had been serving a 14-year prison sentence in Russia. U.S. has long considered him to have been wrongfully detained. And so President Trump said, I just had a lengthy, highly productive phone call with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. We discussed Ukraine, the Middle East, energy, artificial intelligence, the power of the dollar, and various other subjects. And he said he and Putin talked about the great benefit that we will someday have in working together, and agreed on the need to end Russia's war with Ukraine. So those talks will begin immediately, the president said. So as part of the that prisoner swap. So Mark Fogel was the American who the Russians released. The United States released Alexander Vinnik to Russian custody as part of this exchange for Mark Fogel. And Vinnik is a Russian crypto kingpin, is what's been reported, is that he's a, and so he's the one that's being exchanged then for Mark Fogel, a Russian citizen who was under arrest here in the United States and imprisoned. And so that is who who was released then to Russia. Also, a federal judge yesterday restoring Donald Trump's deferred resignation program for federal workers in a decision yesterday. And this has been known as the administration's fork in the road offer, asked government workers to stay or leave after Trump required them to return to their offices. And there were lawsuits that have been filed over this, labor unions, and the judge made a decision yesterday, said none of the plaintiffs in the case, he said the plaintiffs are not directly impacted by the directive. And therefore, he denied the case. And so it moves forward with a lot of gnashing of teeth. That's a daily occurrence anymore, gnashing of teeth. Also, we have the Senate voting pretty much along party lines yesterday to confirm Tulsi Gabbard as the Director of National Intelligence. So she moved forward. Also, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. cleared a key hurdle then to become the Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services. So that vote largely also on party lines. 53 senators voted to advance his nomination, 47 who voted against him, not enough to be able to stop it. And it appears the same thing will happen with Kash Patel, because he'll be in the news today. The Senate getting set to take action on Kash Patel's nomination to lead the FBI. That'll be happening today. Also, inflation ticked higher in January, just a bit. It was at 2.9. It rose to 3%, which is a little hotter than expected. So the Labor Department Wednesday said the Consumer Price Index, that's a measure of how much everyday goods, things like gasoline, groceries, and rent, increased 0.5% in January, rose 3% on an annual basis. Also, Secretary of State Pete Hegseth telling allies at NATO headquarters yesterday that returning Ukraine to its pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective, he said. So he was speaking to the Ukraine Defense Contract Group in Belgium, and he said stark strategic realities prevent the United States from being primarily focused on the security of Europe. He said because the U.S. is focusing on securing our own borders as well as deterring war with China in the Pacific. So he is saying that because Ukraine is saying, well, we want our borders as of a certain date, and Hegseth saying, yeah, that's just not realistic. Pope Francis predicted on Tuesday that President Donald Trump's immigration policies that include mass deportations will end badly. Well, he made the statement in an open letter. He said he understands that a nation has the right to defend itself, but that Trump trying to address the global problem of illegal immigration with conducting mass deportations isn't a good idea, he says. That said, the act of deporting people who in many cases have left their own land for reasons of extreme poverty, insecurity, exploitation, persecution, or serious deterioration of the environment damages the dignity of many men and women and of entire families. He went on to say, so laws are enacted to protect the weak and marginalized. Well, the Pope needs to be told that American laws are enacted to protect Americans. I mean, with respect to the Pope, we are not the world's, leader. I mean, in that we can be and can play a role, no question, but the responsibility of the U.S. government is first and foremost to its own citizens, not to the Pope or not to Europe or not to these other countries and the problems they're having. Doesn't mean we can't play a role. He doesn't seem to understand what the appropriate role is. Tom Homan has said that he believes they are closing in on the individual believed to be responsible for leaking details of a major ICE operation in and around Aurora, Colorado. Violent gang members were tipped off, and it upset their arrest plans. And so Holman says, we think it's coming from inside. And we know the first leak in Aurora is under current investigation. We think we've identified that person, he told Sean Hannity this week. From the BBC, this story trending this morning, Canada's provincial and territorial leaders say they had a constructive meeting at the White House. They're trying to make their case against the tariffs that Donald Trump has imposed. So it's the first time all 13 premiers have visited the U.S. Capitol together. And the BBC says that illustrates how seriously this trade war is being viewed by Canada. Just as an aside here, isn't it interesting how all of these people are now paying attention? Right? I mean, I think there's an argument to be made here that sometimes a slap across the face is not meant to necessarily, start a fight, but to get your attention. And I think that's what you're seeing. And I'm not talking about a literal slap across the face, but that's what you see. And now suddenly you get all of these premiers are coming to Washington. They want to talk about this. They're concerned about this. Look at the number of people who are engaging in solving some of these issues. Absolutely incredible. Would you have ever believed that in such a short period of time? I have been thinking about this over the course of the last couple of days. I'm just shocked. A federal government that was lethargic and deceptive and engaged in suddenly shot back to life like a jolt of electricity through the Frankenstein monster. Just absolutely incredible. All right. Also trending this morning, this one's from Fox News. An American is one of 3 hostages that were released from Belarus, the White House announced. So the identity of the hostage has not been released. The person wishes to remain private, but you've got 3 detainees being released from Belarus. Also, President Trump Wednesday was unanimously elected chairman as the board of the Kennedy Center by the new board of trustees. And the president announced this on social media. So the official election comes after Trump announced last week that he would be replacing current chairman David Rubenstein and that he himself would serve as chairman. And he said he was honored to be elected chairman. And beyond that, though, he did not name any other board members to the Kennedy Center. Other stories trending this morning: Ozempic seems to reduce the quantity and frequency of alcohol intake. So there are questions then as to whether Ozempic can actually help curb alcoholism. So there are studies that are being done there. A few sports stories that are trending this morning. Got Travis Kelce saying, after the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl, dominated the Kansas City Chiefs, Kelce, who is, if you're not a football fan, he's part of the Kansas City Chiefs. Kelce said he's going to take some time before making a decision on whether he will return for a 13th season in the NFL. He says, I know everybody wants to know whether I'm playing next year, and right now, I'm just kicking everything down the road. I'm kicking every can I can down the road. I'm not making any decisions, he said. Actually, which is probably pretty wise, honestly, rather than in the heat of emotionalism. So he's kicking the can down the road and saying, I'm going to wait until the pain, maybe the pain of that Super Bowl loss has subsided a little bit before he makes a decision. I think that's smart. Also, Los Angeles Dodgers legend Clayton Kershaw has reportedly agreed to terms on a contract for the 2025 season. It'll be his 18th season in the majors and with the Dodgers. So no details at this point. Also, former New York Giants and Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Kadarius Toney has been arrested, charged with aggravated assault due to strangulation of a woman. Yikes. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis confirmed that he's saying his wife Casey is not seeking the governorship, but he said it's flattering that some people are asking him to, or asking her to, rather, excuse me. There have been a lot of rumors that the First Lady of Florida was considering a run for governor after DeSantis' term comes to an end. And he told Laura Ingraham that this particular rumor has circulated for a long time. Also, a longtime former Speaker of the Illinois House, Michael Madigan, was convicted on Wednesday, 10 corruption-related charges, but the jury couldn't reach a unanimous decision on as to whether he was guilty of a racketeering conspiracy, but he was convicted on 10 corruption-related charges. Also, this is a wild story, especially if you follow science news, and you likely have seen this. There has been, news about teleportation and whether you could use teleportation. And this, a quantum processor has And this is a little bit difficult to actually, for me to explain. So what they did was they transferred over the space of about 2 meters in an Oxford University laboratory. So, but it was more than enough to emphasize the feasibility of scaling quantum technology by teleporting quantum states across an internet of connected systems. So teleportation is a quirk of physics that only makes sense through a quantum lens, and that's where I get lost. I'm sorry to say. Other stories trending this morning. One person has been killed, 4 injured in a Russian missile attack on Ukraine's capital that happened. This was actually happened yesterday. Kyiv's mayor said that a 9-year-old girl was among the injured in the strikes that took place on Wednesday. And that's a look at the stories that are trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. And I want to congratulate Robert Graham. Robert won those 4 tickets to see the Sioux Falls Stampede coming up this Sunday. Hey, Robert, have a great time at the Sioux Falls Stampede game. I think it's always fun. So I hope you have a great time. We enjoy giving away those Sioux Falls Stampede passes. By the way, those are courtesy of the Sioux Falls Stampede. 6:57, and you're listening to the Greg Belfrage Show.
And conversation go hand.
Thanks for letting me join you. Please return for the 4th hour, either live at 9:30 or at your convenience later on YouTube. So I'll bid you farewell until then. Take care.
From energy-efficient appliances to home entertainment systems to creative storage solutions and landscaping ideas, you'll find everything you need to transform your home.